Shut up and sit down.
One. Hello and welcome to Thinking Out Loud. I'm your host, Sam Bradley. As always, we're talking sports again. Sorry if you're not into sports, but maybe you learned something. We're talking Premier League football with Andy Baber.
Hi there.
And James Crawley.
Oh yeah.
My two football sports guys. So here we are, end of the season, throwing our hat into the ring for the roundup. First of all, any surprises?
5th place Arsenal. I'm going to start off there.
We have a pretty bitter Arsenal fan in the studio with us. James, thoughts on finally that one little thing that you always had that's gone now?
Yeah, it's been taken away from us.
Well, you've given it up. Let's be honest.
You players need to take a long, hard look at themselves. They've got absolutely nobody else to blame. Maybe the board. Maybe Stan Kroenke, but I'll get to that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a year out of the Champions League. Is it going to be good for the club? Some people say yes, some people say no. I think we just need to just accept it and see what the Europa League will do for us.
Do you think it's going to be good for the club?
Sorry?
Do you think it's going to be good for the club?
I think it potentially could be good for the club. It's a bit of like a reality check. All those years where it was us and Manchester United, and that's gone, and we need to accept that we are not at that level anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, it could be good for us in terms of reality check. The players need to look at themselves, like I said, get back to a level where they can be, and see where we are in a year's time. If we're not where we should be, then,
Because it's not like you've got a shitty team. You've got some truly world-class players. Aside from Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez, Aaron Ramsey, while he's not the most obviously world class, he's still a really decent footballer. Yeah. He's still got to the quarter-final. Was the quarter-finals Wales got to?
Semis, wasn't it?
Semis, yeah. The semis, excuse me. All right, well, there we go. Proves my point. There's no one who's quote-unquote, crap.
No.
There's just something happens when those players play together that just sort of eats itself.
Yeah, but they finished the season strong as always. I mean, was it five straight wins to finish off?
Once the pressure was off.
But I think it was telling that after that final game, they missed out on the top four. Wenger came out and said, "Look, the uncertainty over whether I'm staying or leaving might have had an impact." And everyone knew that. Yeah. Everyone knew that during that whole massive period where it was sort of, is he going? Is he staying? What's happening? They were playing terribly. They just looked like a team that just didn't know what was going on, and it had a massive impact. And it's crazy. It was crazy at the time that he didn't just say what was going on. I don't understand why he hasn't said before.
It's not his style, though, is it? To come out and be really. Maybe Mourinho or Pep would have come out and said, "Look, there's stuff going on behind the scenes." Do you know what I mean? Because they're that sort of character. But I think he's been at the club so long. Maybe that's sort of a false placed loyalty.
And he was asked about it before, and he said, "Oh no, it's not having an effect. It's off the pitch. It's nothing. It's not having an effect." And then he turns out at the end of the season and comes out and says it is, and it's so obvious.
But he's been lying as well, because he said at one point, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to tell it's my decision. I've sort of made my decision, but I'm going to tell everyone in like April or something like that." April went, he didn't say anything. And now here we are, like, getting towards the end of May, still not said anything. We got the FA Cup final coming up, and no one's any the wiser.
I feel like he must have said something happened in the club after January. Something happened because that's when it all went to pot.
That's when it always goes to pot. I know you've been looking at this picture far too closely for far too long, James. It always goes to pot in January, and the minute it's won, the minute the pressure's off, world beaters. Apparently.
Same every season.
But who would you like to see come in to replace him if he is replaced?
I really don't know. Diego Simeone, I think I said last time we were here.
He's the only one you can sort of see moving.
He's the only kind of big name you'd think could be a replacement. But I don't.
Who might be on the move? Because Pep obviously came to City, and Klopp who I think would have been a pretty good fit at Arsenal.
2 names who have been mentioned before.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
3 years ago.
And then, obviously, I know, Mourinho probably wouldn't have done, but who would have called Mourinho go to United 4 years ago? Yeah. So, he's moved and now he's at a club where you think he'll probably be there for another season or 2. But, well...
Well, two at least. So then he does his 3 seasons, so, but, yeah.
We'll get onto that later.
Yeah.
Who else is there? Who else is there to replace?
That's the thing, there's not a load of standout candidates. So you think, oh yeah, they could go into Arsenal. There's not a lot, unless then you start looking. Should we give Eddie Howe a chance and stuff? But it's a big call. It's a big call.
Eddie Howe, I still say, will be the England manager one day, and I think he'll do it by managing a big team. Like going from Bournemouth to an Arsenal or to, wherever. You
would hope so. You really would. But, then you look at, say, David Moyes, and I know David Moyes now, people look at him and just laugh and go, oh, what a joke. But when he went into Manchester United, he'd done an absolutely amazing job at Everton over that period. Like, no manager beyond Wenger and Ferguson had managed that long at a sort of Premier League club.
Yeah.
And then since then, his career has just been in complete, it's just
disarray.
Yeah, it's just disarray. It's
Where was he in Spain? Was it Real Sociedad?
Real Sociedad. Yeah. But he's choosing bad. He's making bad decisions. He's choosing bad clubs, and it doesn't help.
Sunderland is a poison chalice.
Yeah, Sunderland was always going to be a disaster, and he admitted it at the start of the season, and from then on, it was always going to be a downhill.
Yeah, I can see that. I think. David Moyes is such an interesting character, though. Maybe we'll get the Arsenal job.
He didn't set himself any ambition at Sunderland, did he?
Just survive.
Well, they had
barely
no,
that.
Yeah, they had no style or anything. Like, it was just, hopefully Defoe will score us a few goals. And
he did, and they still went down.
Yeah.
Defoe was on fire. Defoe is reportedly moving to West Ham, I think. I think they put a bid in for him.
I think that was definitely a rumour, and I think that was something West Ham were considering. I know they signed Zabaleta.
Signed Zabaleta. Oh, that man.
Yeah.
That man.
Not bad signing.
For free? Yeah, not bad.
It's a good signing for free.
Yeah, for sure.
You just think, West Ham gonna mop up all the oldies who are sort of on their way out.
Yeah, but if you're West Ham and suddenly City have let go of Gael Clichy, Jesus Navas, Zabaleta, Caballero, they're not. Bakary Sagna's gone as well.
None of them are terrible. Sagna was...
For free, you'd have them for free if you were West Ham. You'd have them for free if you were, even if you were Chelsea and you needed a bench warmer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. And then we storm in today, obviously with a master plan. No rumours at all that we'd been in for Bernardo Silva. And then all of a sudden, it's not even that it's now rumour, it's done deal. 43 mil. Kaboom.
Yeah.
Still can't believe that we signed it.
Yeah, I think looking sort of a little bit of a look towards next season, I think next season will sort of be the season people expected this season to be, if that makes sense. Because I think with Mourinho and Guardiola both having a season to sort of scope out their teams, find out who they like and don't like, get their sort of extra transfers in. I think next season could be the one where the Manchester clubs come back to the fore.
Yeah, although, Chelsea, I know people say, well, they've only been playing one game a week for the best part of 3 or 4 months. They got knocked out of pretty much everything other than the FA Cup, quite a while ago. And even if you've got nothing else, if you've got no League Cup and you've got no Europe, juggling the League and the FA Cup isn't that much of an ask, So they've managed to potentially, obviously they won the Premier League, but they could potentially pick up another trophy. But I think they have still been head and shoulders above everyone else. Not just in terms of looking fresh, because you can be fresh and be energised and still be out of thought, but they've looked frightening at times. Absolutely frightening. Such a well put together side, such a well drilled side.
I hate to say it, but Tottenham are probably the closest team to matching them.
Yeah.
Chelsea was still quite far ahead, like you said, but
7 points, wasn't it? Yeah.
They're scary.
Tottenham
they are very
good.
Scary.
The scary thing about Tottenham is they're so young. A lot of the really skilled players, they're so talented, and now they've got Champions League football, so they're all going to stay. They love Poch. I was talking to a Spurs fan yesterday. Poch loves the players love Poch. It's all good. There's no drama behind the scenes. It seems to work.
Don't rule them out next season.
Oh, I am. I'm ruling them out because they're at Wembley, aren't they? Can't buy one at Wembley.
That could be the main issue. But I mean, they've got a great team dynamic. Like you watch their team, and people laugh about all these stupid hands gestures that they do. But on the bigger picture, it just sort of shows the massive team dynamic they have. And I mean, I think this season their points total would have won the Premiership in the last 3 or 4 seasons. So
really.
It shows you what they've achieved this season, and they didn't have that end of season tail off either. They sort of finished the season pretty strongly, other than the defeat to, was it West Brom? I can't remember who they lost to, who basically meant that they gave away the title. But
yeah,
oh no, it's Palace. Was it Palace?
Lauren,
I think
producer
Palace.
Lauren, can we get Tottenham's last? Was it the last 5 games?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but obviously they lost to somebody they shouldn't really have lost to.
Yeah.
And then that counted them basically out. That basically gave the title to Chelsea. But I mean, I think even with the way that Spurs have played, and even though they made it a little bit more interesting, I don't think anybody really doubted that Chelsea were going to win it.
Not after. I think at Christmas they were already they were playing really well, Chelsea, and they already had like 3 or 4 points and everyone else, and they just. It didn't really look like anyone was going to challenge them. Yeah, who did they lose to really near the end of the season?
Was it West Ham?
I think it was West. I think they drew to West Ham, didn't they?
Or 1-0, something like that.
They lost 1-0 to West Ham.
That was it. Yeah,
West Ham.
And they gave away the league. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, but that's staying power, isn't it? We did that a couple of times. We came close and then buggered up a few results, and then we won it. Manchester City, I should say, won it. So I guess, it's looking bright for Tottenham. I still think now they're in the Champions League, they're going to need to invest. They are going to need to buy. I know they've got a great academy, they've got all these cool players, but they're going to need to invest. They're going to need at least another 2 strikers, I would say. Yeah,
well, their core squad is sort of really good, but then when you look outside, for example, when Kane gets injured, Son has stepped up.
Mate, Janssen, best player not watching.
Yeah, but exactly. Janssen's not really done it off the... he's not really convinced, so... They're sort of the squad outside the main squad is the one where they need to work.
Yeah. Have they got enough experience?
Who?
Tottenham.
In what respect?
Like who have had Champions League football.
That's true. I'm going through their squad now. I think
Lloris probably from before.
Yeah.
I mean, they as a team have had experience of last season, so they as a team have had one season now where they've experienced the Champions League. I mean, what was it, City? It took a few seasons, didn't it? Still
taking his time, yeah.
But I mean, everyone always says, it takes a few seasons to get used to it. So, they're getting there. But there's enough talent in that squad, I think. It's just whether, like, for Kane, for example, who's absolutely, stormed it in the Premiership. He's never really done it on the European stage, and that's the one sort of, that's the one question hanging over him.
But I think if I'm Pochettino... I know if I finish second or higher, I'm going to keep my job. So I don't think a couple of bad seasons in Europe, as long as they're still getting in, as long as they'll learn, they're young,
That was the Arsenal way.
That was the Arsenal way, and then bad things happened. I can't believe that that's finally out, that I've lived long enough to see Arsenal drop out of the Champions League. And not even usually get, beaten by Bayern Munich in the last 16, but to not even make it. It just shows how far they've fallen.
But it's just what happens when you... I mean, I wouldn't even say they've fallen. They just stood still, and all the other teams have sort of, jumped ahead of them. That's all that's happened. I don't think they've necessarily fallen. It's just, the other teams have spent bigger, and the results have shown that.
So why aren't Arsenal spending? I defer to the Arsenal fan. Why aren't Arsenal spending? Why isn't the money? Because the stadium's paid off just about, right?
It was paid off a long time ago.
Okay, so where's all that ticket money going?
Arsenal.
You got an Henri shirt. Where's that 20 quid gone or whatever it was?
Yeah, Arsenal seems to just like budget players and getting them in young, and then they fail, and then they move on to usually City or.
Right, mate. Well, we've got 2 more leagues than you in the last 5 years.
Fair, you get the better end of the deal, but I don't know. I was saying earlier, Stan, Kroenke. He invested in the club to just take the profits for himself. He's not putting the money in. Look at Abramovich. He puts the money in, and they get the return.
Yeah.
it's not happening at Arsenal.
But
Unfortunately,
he
that
has
is
put
the
money
way
in.
if you want to.
How much was Alexis Sanchez? 40 odd mil. How much was Mesut Ozil? 40 odd mil. You know,
I think Sanchez was about 25-ish.
was he?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I just invented that.
Yeah,
to
but I
prove
mean,
my point.
that's still it's a
2
reasonably
players across
significant signing.
4 years.
Yeah,
That's true. That's another thing. I mean, look at what City.
You're not spending 200 million a summer or whatever.
Yeah, and there's a quiet charm to
Not
that.
that I agree completely with that. But.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a quiet charm to that if you're like Stoke or Everton and you buy a couple of decent players.
there is. Yeah, no, there is. But I think if there's a problem, you see that problem, you've got to spend to address that problem. And everyone has said for a while, Arsenal need somebody up front who's going to score those 20 odd goals a season. Buy that striker, and you'll be fine. But
We've
I
never
don't-
addressed that issue.
no, they've never.
I
addressed
think it goes deeper than that. Though. I don't think if you gave Arsenal an Aubameyang or a Lacazette or an Aguero, I think there are still problems in that squad. I think you need to. I think whoever goes in, or whoever it might still be him, they might win the FA Cup. I still say they probably need 2 defenders, a midfielder, and a striker. Maybe a winger as well, because Walcott isn't getting any younger.
I think, he's 27, I think, which he's at the peak of his career.
Technically say going into your prime, but
Yeah, Theo Walcott's prime.
Never hit his prime though, did he?
No.
Never came. It was promised and promised and promised and promised, and then is he a winger? Is he a centre forward? Because I can remember him playing both positions well and terribly. So it's. I mean, what would you have him buy this summer?
Definitely a new striker.
Who's on it, like Lukaku?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, definitely.
Not a bad shout.
I did think the other day, put Lukaku at the top of that team, and not only have you got the sort of strength that they've been lacking for quite a while, but you've got somebody who does. People say he's a flat track bully. That's fine.
So
if
what?
you're beating those teams, then that's a good thing. So I think Lukaku. I also thought because Martial at United has been sort of sidelined, and I think he'd be absolutely perfect for Arsenal. Up
Would you
front.
play? Yeah, up front. Not as this left midfielder.
No. Yeah, exactly.
nonsense.
He's not.
hindered
He's
it.
sort of his sort of talents are wasted at United a little bit this season. But I think he'd be ideal, and there's also possibly Aguero. He might be.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
He's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. But why not? Why not try? And again, there's the injury problem. But Sturridge is if he's fit, he would knock in at least 20 goals a season at Arsenal.
Yeah.
At least.
Because you get great service. That's what you want about
That's the
Ozil.
thing,
When he's on
it's-
it, he's got good service.
So there's options out there beyond the really exotic names like Griezmann and stuff. It's just whether Arsenal go for them and
I'm
try it.
glad we didn't go for Jamie Vardy. A good player as he
Really?
is, yeah, he wouldn't have.
Because there was a point where you were going to sign Kante and Vardy for like 70
And
million.
Mahrez.
No, it was
Yeah.
excuse me, it was Mahrez and Vardy, wasn't
Yeah.
it? You were going to get them both for like 50,
But-
60 million beginning of last season, just gone.
But again, Kante, what a great buy he would have been.
Yeah,
But no, he
Yeah.
doesn't want to go for him, and then off he goes to Chelsea and
they win the league.
two premierships in 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what an
fair
incredible
play to the guy. And he's
What an incredible player. He's just shows, he shows the influence he has. But yeah, there are players like that out there, but you're not even finding, because Leicester found it from somewhere. Why aren't you going to these places? Why aren't Arsenal going to these places and looking for these undiscovered gems?
Well, that's what Wenger used to do, but he doesn't seem to do it anymore. He doesn't seem to bring through these gems anymore. And I think that's partly why a lot of Arsenal fans have lost faith in him, because he's not doing that.
or are they or is he? And then these guys looking at the club going, actually, I don't think you're gonna do it for me anymore.
That's true. I mean, and that's
Maybe.
only going to become more pronounced now. You don't have Champions League football. It's going to be harder to attract those big. That's one of the things that they were saying about Manchester United, that we want to be able to attract these big names, but so we really need to be in the Champions League, and it would have cost them like 60 million or something for Adidas.
Yeah.
Fair cob.
Yeah. I mean, I think, was it beforehand, Griezmann had said, 6 out of 10 chance of me going to United. I mean, I'm sure it's helped by getting Champions League football.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah, but where would you put him with all the talent you have? I mean, we can safely assume that Wayne Rooney probably won't be there.
I
Next
think
season.
Rooney will go. And I think actually I'd love to see him go to Everton because I'd love to see him sort of, because I think he'd get regular game time, and it's nice in terms of, you know, sort of end and start and all that sort of thing. But I think it'd just be nice to see him.
And Lukaku's probably going to go. So.
Yeah, possibly. But there's a lot of talent there, and I think it'd just be interesting to see how he got on. I'm just out of general interest because players tend to go off to China and America, and everyone forgets about them. And it'd just be nice to see what, you know. I think he will, because he's still thinking about England and Russia 2018. So you can't go to America or China without risking.
Yeah.
You know, he's already been left out of the recent England squad, so he knows what he needs to do.
Score some goals.
Well, yeah,
for somebody. You know. He's that is a peculiar thing that's happened to Wayne Rooney. I saw a thing on Facebook last night, and it was one of these, like, you know, he's won every major trophy, all-time record goal scorer, never lived up to his potential. And I sort of thought, well, that is a pretty good argument. He has won everything. There was a couple of seasons where he was one of, if not the best out-and-out striker in the world. Yeah. And yet he gets this really bad rap. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's partly because of the whole sort of transfer issue. You know, twice he's sort of looked at going away from the club and almost held the club to ransom.
And one time he was going to come to City, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's obviously, you know, that's rankled. I mean, I think he got a good reception after the Europa League final, and I think fans generally respect him. And I think, when you look at his trophy haul, he's he's been brilliant. And I think it's very easy to forget that Rooney's been sort of on our TV screens for an absolute. So long, so long since he scored that goal for Everton and announced himself.
2002.
It's crazy, and you think there's not many players you can say have been around for that length of time and at that level.
Yeah.
So
playing for a top club nearly all the way through.
And the pressure on United, as sort of Mourinho has shown this season, is just so much. It's so intensified. So I have a lot of respect for him. Again, the transfer thing, I'm not necessarily impressed by, but that's just general football. So once you pass that, that's just modern football. So once you sort of
I hear that,
forego that, I think as a player, he's frustrated at times, but just because the talent, you saw him at Euro 2004 when he just absolutely lit that tournament up. Yeah. And I think that's the main problem. I think that's why a lot of the hate, because people know what potential he's got, and he's just not quite lived up to it necessarily in that sense.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of transfers, and going back to Arsenal for a second, Sanchez apparently is coming to Manchester City.
See, I've heard Bayern as well.
Now, here was the thing. Yeah. There was the squad for Chile, isn't he? He's from. The Chile squad put their national team sheet out, and it said Alexis Sanchez of Bayern Munich, and then it got taken down off Twitter, and then it was replaced by one that said Alexis Sanchez.
Oh, really?
In the rundown, it's I had everyone's clubs, and it was taken down for one that said Alexis Sanchez of Arsenal FC. So I mean, I think he'd fit right into that Bayern squad. I think he's got the pace and he's got strength, and which is a really good combination. It's a combination that Bayern seem to go for quite a lot in their players.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think he'd walk into the Bayern squad.
Yeah, I think he would. I think he's one of the best players in the world. I think he absolutely would.
Yeah.
Would I blame him for going? Absolutely not.
No, well,
we're not offering him. I wouldn't say the money. He could get elsewhere. And that is generally the,
$275,000 a week is what I heard last.
Yeah, that's what I've heard last, and I think I'm sort of impressed that Arsenal have tried to get hold of him and hold on to him, but it's a bit late.
Yeah, if a player wants to go, it doesn't matter who they are. You just let them go because it's bad for the club.
Yeah, and it's bad for the player. It's just bad all round.
West Ham, last season.
Yeah, that was a really bad with Payet. Are you referring to? Yeah, that was a really bad situation, and you wouldn't want that, especially with a player as high. Not that Payet isn't a high-profile player, but as you've said, Alexis Sanchez is one of the best in the world. So the media scrutiny, if he were unhappy and acting up and not being selected or saying he was not going to play, that would be magnified tenfold, I think.
Arsenal in a really weird position. Not a weird position. They should be used to it by now. In that he's got a year left in his he's got a year left in his contract. They either take the risk and say, look, if we can get back into the Champions League, if we even won the Premier League next season, and then he might say, okay, right, we're on something here.
Yeah.
I'll stay for another year, maybe.
He's not getting any younger, is he? He's 27, 28 now?
28, yeah, maybe 29, 28 maybe.
Yeah.
Or we sell him now and get the cash.
Mm.
And
spend it on who, though? Martial or, Royce, Schürrle? Andre Schürrle just keeps getting passed around the Bundesliga, and he's such an amazing player. He scored in the World Cup. Why is no one signing him up? I'd have him at Man City in an absolute heartbeat. Yeah. He's fantastic. But it's weird, isn't it, Alexis Sanchez? It'll sort itself out. So let's start speculating even more then. Who needs what next season? Who do Chelsea need to buy next season? What do they need?
Nobody.
I think they need depth in the squad.
They do need depth in the squad, I think. I mean, they, as we've already said, they had very few games this season. They really had to concentrate on the FA Cup and the Premier League. So if that squad gets properly tested in the Champions League, as it will, they need strength and depth. Although Batshuayi came to the fore towards the end of the season.
Good, isn't he? Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get that. Williams on the fringes.
Yeah, he's a good player to have on the fringes, though.
He's a good player having the starting 11.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a sort of player at the top. I mean, obviously, he almost went to Tottenham, then went to Chelsea. Tottenham would love to have him sort of
for sure
in and about the squad. Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see Chelsea. It's hard. I'm not sure, as you say, strength and depth. And it's a hard thing to do, actually, when you think about it. Buy strength and depth, you're buying players that you're saying, well, you might not make the first team all the time.
Or you buy players that are already better than your first team and force members of the first team onto the bench and get... as I've always looked at it as creating competition. But obviously that pisses people off,
Obviously, centre back, they probably need someone Chelsea, because obviously Terry's on his way out. So... even though they've
coped without him so far.
Well, they have, but I mean, in terms of actual backup, but I mean, to be fair, they have got backup because they've got Ake and
Kurt Zuma.
Yeah, Zuma as well. So
they only play three at the back now, really.
Yeah,
with Victor Moses and Alonso.
They might be alright, but they've not had any injuries, so you can't really tell how they would.
Yeah, it's easy not to get injuries when you're playing once, maybe twice a week.
I mean, the main interest will be what happens to Hazard, whether. Because there has been a few rumours on, maybe he will get picked up by one of the Spanish teams.
Yeah.
And if he goes, then it's sort of that's quite a major blow to them. So.
But the money they get from him, you'd imagine they could go out and buy pretty much whoever they wanted, up to and including Alexis Sanchez, because he said he loves London. So there's only.
It would be quite a nice swap for him and Chelsea, because it's more or less a like for like, I think.
Yeah, winger, pacey, kind of strong, tricky with his feet, But Eden Hazard's got a couple of years in him, hasn't he? A couple of years. Sorry, by which I mean Eden Hazard's like 4 or 5 years younger.
Yeah,
I think. So I guess the same could be said for Tottenham then. Strength and depth. By a striker.
Again, both of the top two teams, I think, strength and depth. I think it's more the Manchester teams that really need to invest. And
Man United don't need to buy anybody. Man United have got all the pieces to a puzzle they just haven't seen the box of. It's just buy talent. Doesn't matter if we can fit it in or not. Buy Martial, fine. I know we'll get him in the team. We'll put him on the left wing. Mkhitaryan, we're not going to play him for however long it was, 5 games, and then he's going to come on and be amazing. I don't understand that. I don't understand Man United's transfer policy at all right now. It's just, what do you think they need?
I think they certainly need... ideally, they would have somebody in the mould of Kante, because they've never really addressed having that
Fellaini.
Sort of... Yeah, exactly. Though. But Fellaini is our sort of Kante. He's the one that Mourinho brings in for the big games because he's sort of a screen. But, I mean, he played really well in the Europa League final, which is quite frustrating. But when I normally see him play, he'll just give away the most stupidest passes, and he'll just be careless. And it's just, you can't do that at this level. You can't just give away a pass when all your... Because the thing is, if you give away easy passes, as everyone else is expecting to advance down the pitch, you immediately put your team on the back foot, because everyone's sort of looking forward. You give away an easy pass, and instantly you're on the back foot. The team is attacking you, and you leave yourself short of the back.
Yeah.
So you can't have that sort of unreliability. But
so who would you go for? Someone like, I don't know, like Kevin Strootman is good. He's at Roma. He's pretty solid. He's quick enough across the ground. You know, he's a good tackler and passer, which is kind of what you need for that. For that position. Do you think De Gea will go?
That's difficult, isn't it? I don't know. I feel like he enjoys being at United, and I feel like he's happy there. But you just get the sense that at some point he wants to go to Real Madrid sooner rather than later.
Well, his very, very, very attractive wife has just said, I'm not moving to Manchester.
Well, exactly.
I'm going to stay in Madrid.
And so, that's another reason why you would expect him maybe to pine for Madrid. But, it seems like it's a bit of a shootout basically between him and Courtois as over who gets it.
Oh, you think Courtois? You think there's a chance Courtois will go?
That's what I've heard. That it's the two of them that Real Madrid are both considering for their next sort of main goalkeeper.
I don't think Courtois gets the plaudits he perhaps deserves. He's so understated. He just does that. I know they've got a really, really insanely good back three or back five, however you look at it. He just gets the job done. He's even more understated than Lloris. He's made some incredible saves this season as Courtois.
He can stand there, get that protection,
and
then he'll pull off an amazing save.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
I think he had a bit of a dodgy spell season before. Like obviously, Chelsea just generally had such a bad spell.
Yeah, of course.
But no, I think he's one of the best in the world.
Courtois, but then I don't think I'd put maybe Courtois in my top... Maybe I put him in my top 5. You think Lloris has got to be in there? I mean, would you put what's his name, Marc-Andre ter Stegen in there after the season that Barcelona have had?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. God, that was said with a real world-weary shake of the head.
He would make it in. Like De Gea's in there.
Yeah.
I think Courtois probably would. I was about to say that I actually think. I thought for quite a while that he was a bit overrated. I thought people...
Courtois?
I thought for quite a while... I mean, as you said, he didn't have a great season last season, that was his first proper season.
He was really good at Atletico, though, when he was loaned out for all those years.
Yeah, and then the start of the season, I still wasn't convinced. But then, as you said, he started to come into his own, and I think by the end of the season, I think he sort of convinced me that he is that level. He would be there. Buffon, I think, is still he's still an absolute outrageous goalkeeper, just incredible.
Do you see that stat? Obviously, it's not true anymore. But a few weeks ago, there was this thing doing the round on social media, and it was, Juventus haven't scored Juventus haven't conceded a Champions League goal since Obama was in office. Something absolutely stupid, some crazy stat.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, though. Do we think, let's tangent off from who needs what minute to the Champions League final picks? I think I'd love to say Juve, but I think Real probably have a little bit too much pace for them.
Yeah, my line of thinking is pretty much the same as you. I want my heart says Juve because I want Buffon to win it.
Yeah,
because I just imagine it'd just be the perfect. It'd just be perfect, but. Real Madrid has got so much experience in the Champions League final, and you just wonder whether Juve will sort of get stage fright a little bit.
Because Juve have long won their league, haven't they? They've long won Serie A.
Yeah.
So they don't have to... Do you know what I mean? It's like when...
There's not that intensity.
Yeah, when we played PSG in the final, in the quarterfinals, I think it was, when Man City played PSG, they'd already basically wrapped up the league, and they got 70 minutes, and they all powered down. So, maybe. What about you, James?
Yeah, kind of the same. It's a bit like when they played Barca 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, I was really rooting for Juve.
But Barca at the time.
I kind of see it, they're going in the same way. I think Madrid will come out on top.
For sure. Wasn't it a shame that Barca got knocked out, but that game against PSG was one of the most incredible things I think I've ever seen in my life, outside of football, whatever.
I missed it. I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen the goals and the highlights, but yeah.
It was just phenomenal.
I know.
I remember watching when we watched the first leg, and they were 5-1 down, weren't they, or 4 or 5-1, something like that.
4-0. Was it 4-0?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucked up. I don't know. I didn't check my stats. But there was, and I looked to the guys I was watching it with, and I was like, any other team, they're definitely done. But Barca, there's always that back of your head, sort of that reptilian part of your brain that loves chaos. Like, yeah, Barca could totally bring it back, and then they did.
I think it was a combination of both. That one, you think Barca can always turn it on in one game, and also PSG, are they sort of mentally strong enough?
Nah.
And you think, after a few years of watching PSG in Champions League, and I have to say, going into the sort of day beforehand, I did actually generally think, I wonder what price it would be on Barca to come back, because I mean, I'm not betting.
How much money didn't you win?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know people did bet on it and made a few bucks. So.
Jesus, yeah. I mean, also that Champions League campaign that we're just reaching the end of, the Monaco game against Man City, that first leg, 5-3. Just insane goals everywhere, chips and dinks and outside the box and inside the box. It was phenomenal to watch.
It was.
For a neutral. As a City fan, it was like I was giving birth. Just like, we got the lead, but for how long? Yeah. So let's go back to the Premier League table, moving down now. City have sort of staked their claim. City are out with the old, in with the new. As we've let these players go. We've brought in Silva. Really young, really quick, scores goals, can play in a few positions. Sounds like the kind of player we're going to be signing all year. But I don't think we've addressed the one problem, which is now we only have 2 goalkeepers. One of them's Joe Hart, and one of them is Claudio Bravo. I mean, how do you fix a problem like that? Because there's only, to my mind, 2 or 3 goalkeepers that are going to be on the move this season, potentially. One of those is Oblak from Atletico, who could well be going to United to fill De Gea's shoes. So where does that, who are we supposed to sign? Maybe Jack Butland, take a punt?
Jack Butland would be a brilliant
yeah,
shout.
but it's a hell of a risk. I know you've been doing all right at Stoke, so here's the Champions League. I don't know, man.
It's a big arse.
It is a big arse, but he's a good player.
He's an England's goalkeeper as well.
We've had this. We've had England goalkeepers. And the thing is, never do anything.
And Joe Hart is probably going to be booted out again.
Yeah.
So that'll leave you with one.
One goal. Yeah, I think Joe Hart's coming back merely as a formality. I don't see him doing any pre-season stuff. I think Joe Hart's going to come in.
The message was very clear last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think that was right. I think Joe Hart, season before this one, he played us into that Champions League semi-final.
Yeah.
He played us in some of the saves he made in that campaign, but he's always got that mistake in him. And it's not like they're not small mistakes. When Joe Hart makes a mistake, he really drops a clanger. But it draws managers' attention. Someone like Pep, who all he's doing is, while he's finishing up at wherever he was at Bayern, wasn't he? He's watching tapes ready for that season to end. And, he's seeing these howlers. What's he going to do? He watched the Euros like the rest of us and went, what the hell is he doing?
But I'm not sure if that's not what bothers him though, is it? It's the
he can't play with his feet. What?
Because it can't...
They're all footballers, aren't they?
The errors can't bother him because he put Claudio Bravo in goal, and I've never seen a goalkeeper make that many mistakes. He couldn't save.
And if we got him for free, it would have maybe been all right. We paid like 20 million quid for him. It's 20 million euros, something like that. Yeah. Bananas.
I think at that point,
bananas.
Pep probably thought, well, do I bring Hart back? But then if he does that, it's like, hang on a minute, I've just told you I don't want you.
Yeah, you don't win that way if you're the manager.
No, so he had to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, Guardiola had committed. He got rid of Hart. He wanted...
Bravo. He wanted the Bravo from yesteryear.
Yeah.
Didn't get him by a country mile.
And then he was just stuck with what he had left. So I think there's plenty of goalkeepers around. It's just whether the ones that can play with their feet properly. I don't know.
I don't want me goal. Do you know what? I've seen City play a few times this season, and it puts your heart in your mouth when you see him pass now, and they're just passing back, and like there's not a care in the world, just knocking it back, and it's like just cool, we get it, we like possession, but get rid of it. Get it up to the players because we're wasting time here.
But they're all professional footballers. I mean, this literally their living. They should be able to play on the deck anyway.
Can't
Even
imagine.
goalkeepers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you play football all day, every day, you should be able to play from the back. Like
some of them shots, I probably could have kept them out.
Yeah.
It's for that. I remember watching the Everton game. It was just like watching a nightmare. It's just he didn't. It was like he wasn't there. They were just going through him. Preposterously bad. But he'll stay. He'll become the new Caballero because Caballero's been let go. And Caballero's a League Cup aside when he put in absolute shift against Liverpool.
Yeah.
He came in again. End of this season, and we won. 5-15 on the bounce. Something like that.
But he's dodgy. He is a dodgy.
Caballero's got a mistake.
I think the last game, even when did you win 5-0 against Watford?
Yeah.
And even then, I watched, and there was one chance Watford had where it was all just down to him. Just
Yeah.
Hash of something. So
I'd love to see us sign anybody. Sign Buffon for a year. Why not? On the way out.
It's definitely defensively. I think is where Man City need to invest. It's obviously because forward wise, that forward line is when on fire. It's just absolutely outrageous.
Well, who can we play together? I mean, theoretically now we can play a front five with Gabriel Jesus, Aguero, De Bruyne, Sané, Sterling, Silva, the new Silva. Where does it end? Torre, Fernandinho. They're all players that are known for getting forward, but it's the minute you get behind, Yaya Toure looks over his shoulder. Vinny can't stay fit. I think he's getting older. Love him. We're undoubtedly a better team with him. He's getting old. Nicolas Otamendi's good, but he's a little bit heavy-handed. John Stones potentially will be very good.
And Gundogan as well in midfield.
Oh, of course,
He's going to come back from his. Hopefully, he'll be.
Hopefully, yeah. I should hope he's back for pre-season because. It was a shame he looked really good and then he picked up that second injury.
Yeah, I just wonder how he'll come back from that.
It's like, how do you replace players? How do you replace a player like Yaya Toure? Because we're going to have to, probably this window. Who's out there? Maybe Kante, but he hasn't. But he can't score. We can't put him away like Toure. It's how do you replace irreplaceable players? It's like every club's got that one player that just sees them right, and then one day it's like Steven Gerrard. No one knew what the fuck they were doing when the minute that he stopped being, Steven Gerrard that we know and love. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky window, but I don't know who we're going to throw our money at. So let's move down to mid-table. Any real surprises that the people that ended up where they ended up?
Not really. I think
no one really finished higher than they should have done. No one really finished.
Well, I think the only
Bournemouth had a good season.
I'd say Bournemouth, Burnley both did really well to stay in the Premiership and fairly comfortably. I don't think. I mean, there was a few times when people were like, "Oh, are they sort of heading towards relegation?" But they were fairly comfortable. I think pretty much all season everyone thought at least Sunderland and Hull were going down.
Yeah,
and that was how
been so long.
Yeah. Who's going to become the new Sunderland? Do we think that team? I think it's going to be Watford. They're going to be constantly now tipping
Watford
back.
It's just a weird team. Like
can't give a manager, can they?
They can't, but
through their own fault.
But you sort of understand why, because they've not really. They sort of seem to get enough points to stay up and then just play terribly. And I don't know. It's just a really strange team. You just don't have any. I don't feel they've got any identity. Like you'll look at one week and they've won really comfortably and done really well. And next week they've put in like a dreadful performance, and you're just like, all right.
I think that is down to the manager. It's down to the manager to maintain those levels of consistency. When you've got players that are pretty good, but they're not the best. But you have got decent, talented players in that squad. I'm thinking your Deenis and your Capues. They're both handy. I think they can do a job, but I think the manager switches haven't helped there. But they've got one of them mad owners. He's like his cat in charge of the youth team or something. He's totally omnipotent. He can hire and fire as he sees fit, apparently. Yeah, so let's go down to relegation. I don't think there's any surprises.
No,
I was more surprised that Swansea stayed up.
Yeah, I was only because there was a little bit of a doubt on Paul Clement, wasn't there? But he did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did.
Do you think Gylfi Sigurdsson will stay at Swansea now they've managed to stay up?
Where's he going to go?
I don't know whether he would have stayed with them anyway.
Because he went before and came back, didn't he? He went to Tottenham and came back.
I think if they'd gone down, he would have gone because he's too quality.
He's too good for that.
Got too much quality,
Yeah.
but he could stay because, as you say, I'm not necessarily sure where he goes.
Maybe Everton or somewhere. But if Swansea come out the blocks next season and finish like 10th, 11th, then they win. He's proved, and the squad's there, and he'll sort of stick around. Maybe we can kick on to a Europa League place.
I'd have him at Arsenal, considering we're Europa League next season. We're going to need
such an out there call. But
I think he's a really good. I think he's a good player.
He's a good player. I just never put those two dots together, but it makes sense. He's handy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's not a world class player. He's not. You wouldn't have City,
he's a
Chelsea
squad player, isn't he?
Chasing after him, but he's decent enough. He's Premier League.
You could probably pick him up for about 20 million as well.
Yeah,
probably cheaper than that. The way Swansea's going.
Well, he's a really good player, but I would just say that's the sort of player that Arsenal just always buy. Like they buy a lot of the sort of Gylfi Sigurdsson sort of players.
Liverpool maybe. I know Liverpool are kicking
playmakers, but you don't really need those playmakers. It's more around that Arsenal needs, and he's a former Spurs player as well. So
I mean that's not going to be easy.
It's only for a little bit.
We can forgive him for that. Campbell was.
I think Spurs were considering.
I was wondering how long it'd be before we went there.
I think Spurs were. I saw something saying Spurs were considering him, and I think in terms of what Spurs need, as in a good squad player.
Yeah.
I think he would be a good addition. He'd get a bit of Champions League football possibly. That's the one club I think. But if other than that, I think he might just stay at Swansea.
We haven't talked about yet. Liverpool.
Getting the job done.
Yeah. Will look like they were going to be really good, then really trailed off, and then sort of come back. But I don't know where the problem is because he's a really good manager and that's a really good squad. I think it's maybe because they're shipping goals. What do you think, Joe?
I think Coutinho, he has to stay at that club because I think he is that tick for them.
Yeah.
Without him, they will not be top 4 next season.
Do you think?
I think he is
that's
the player.
a bold call. They've got a lot of talent in that squad now.
They have, but I think without him, it isn't the same Liverpool that they can be, and they actually in the end proved they could be.
Because they've got everything sorted, haven't they? Right now, apart from the defence. Although there is rumours that they're going to go in for Iker Casillas. After all that, now I mean that is a
forgotten player there.
Forgotten player. It's a big insult to Joe Hart because Jurgen Klopp was asked about Joe Hart a couple of weeks ago and he said, we're not going to buy him. We don't need any goalkeepers. Thanks, Joe. It's okay. Casillas can come in through the back door. Not a bad signing. Even if he does them a season while they tap up Buckland because we inevitably don't sign him. But I think, they need to sort the defence. They need to buy one more centre-back, I think.
Yeah.
And probably a left-back, because I think, as good as he is, James Milner's a bit wasted down that left.
And Moreno isn't someone you can...
Moreno is utter toilet.
Yeah.
And I'll go on record as saying that. Moreno is one of the worst left-backs I think I've ever seen.
Defensively, he's got a bit of attacking flair, but you don't need that necessarily.
Yeah, but you need him back there.
Well, exactly, yeah.
I watched... I know a Liverpool fan. Regular listeners will know Al Wilson, who comes on sometimes. He's a Liverpool fan. And we watched... So I end up watching Liverpool quite a lot. And just to see the abandon that Moreno just goes forward under any opportunity, maybe let him be a left winger or something, behind that Woodburn kid that was amazing and going to win in the Champions League and then never heard of again, straight back in the youth team. Yeah, I think they need to sort their defence out.
They need to sort their defence out, and they need a striker who's going to stay fit and score them the goals because you can't. Because as good as they are, Coutinho and Firmino are not strikers as such.
Firmino's reinvented himself a bit as a centre forward, hasn't he? A little bit.
Again, I'm not sure what he ended up on, but I don't think he made 20 goals in the Premiership.
No.
I mean, he scored some great goals, but I don't think he got. He wasn't a regular goal scorer. They need that, and Liverpool have always had that. So that's the thing. I think they're really missing outside of, as you say, defensively.
Yeah, for sure. Any other business? I think we've hit everything, haven't we? We've gone down and up the table.
I was going to say...
James is jumping in.
You got 3 clubs coming up. Brighton, Newcastle and Reading?
Yeah. Well, it depends because there's the playoff, isn't it? It's
still to play, yeah.
We're recording, we should say, on Friday. It's really hot. That's why you can hear ice water. And City have just signed Silva. So it's a pretty good day. But yeah, it's certainly Newcastle and Brighton. I'm glad Newcastle have come back up. I'm glad they look good. They look really good under Rafa.
Well, it's certainly good they came up considering that Middlesbrough and Sunderland have gone down because you need somebody. You need somebody
prop up the table.
Yeah, you need, well, no, but you need somebody.
I think they'll stay up.
There's a bit of bragging rights up north now because obviously with something to do, they've gone down and Newcastle.
Yeah, because Sunderland, as crap as they always were, they'd always beat Newcastle, wouldn't they? But now it's the tables have totally turned. Yeah. No, it's not. It's going to be nice to have Newcastle, but it's nice to see that Mike Ashley's apparently listened and said he can have 100 million to spend the players. Whether that's true, we'll find out in the coming weeks. But
he needs it. I mean, it's not. It's not a squad. I don't think that can necessarily. I mean, it might scrape staying in the Premiership, but I don't think without a few more purchases it won't stay up.
You got to say, as much as I love them, I think if either Huddersfield or Reading come up, I wouldn't. We've seen Reading in the Premier League, and I don't think they're challenging. It's not, but again, it's a different league to when Reading were up, even a few years ago. So it'll see. If you had to mark anybody down now who's left in the Premier League for relegation, other than Watford, who we've said, anybody else you think would be maybe touting to
maybe
try and beat the job?
It hurts, but maybe Burnley or Bournemouth again because
Bournemouth are all right, aren't they?
They're
established.
Yeah,
highest ever finish in the Premier League this season.
Yeah,
but you just always doubt them.
Yeah, they have these periods where they go through long periods where they lose games, and luckily most of the like this season they righted themselves and they got through to that 40-point stage and so on. But and it sort of depends as well in terms of the manager merry-go-round because there's a few jobs available, and it'll be interesting to see who takes them up.
Shock! Mourinho goes to Arsenal. Eddie Howe goes to United. Well, it's been great having you both on. It's been awesome. We've got to do more football shows. Yeah, we only did we did one halfway through the season and then one right at the end. So I don't know. We'll have to mix this shit up. Thank you for listening. Like, listen, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube, SoundCloud, everything else, Twitter, Facebook, all that shit. Thank you for listening. It's been Thinking Out Loud.